The Triple M Grill Team.
Turn Gus, MG and Matty on 6 till 9 weekdays.
I'll tell you what, in a short period of time, hasn't the attempted formation of this Islamic State become the biggest story in the world? Well, Roj Ahmed is a Paris-based freelance journalist, and he published an interview recently with a member of ISIS. In the report, Roj details how this person left his hometown in Iraqi Kurdistan to join the Syrian opposition and eventually became an ISIS member. And the guy explains the things he witnessed and the reason he risked his life to exit the extremist Islamic organisation. And we're good enough to have Roj on the line right now. Roj, welcome to the Grill Team.
Thanks.
Now, mate, this fellow, I mean, why did he risk his life to escape this Islamic organisation?
Well, he said when he was assigned to go to Al-Raqqa province in Syria, which is the ISIS stronghold in Syria, he started to realize that these ISIS members, were acting, as ruthless rulers of the place, and they carried out a lot of beheadings and mass arrests and killing of people that he thought they had nothing, they had done nothing wrong, and he started questioning the organizations, and then he witnessed some horrible things as he talked about in the piece as well, especially beheading of a Kurdish YPG fighter who was captured alive, and then they brought him to Raqqa and publicly beheaded him. So he started to question the organization after he witnessed such horrible practices by ISIS militants in Raqqa.
Was he in a bubble? I mean, how could you get involved in this kind of organisation and not have a clue this is where it's going?
Yeah, well, he claims to have gone into Turkey with two of his friends in order to join the Syrian mainstream opposition, or what is known as the Free Syria Army, and they met with supposed FSA contacts in Turkey who did not seem to be extremists, didn't have beards and dressed normally, and they even took him and his friends into a hotel, for several days, and then they crossed into Syria, and then in Syria suddenly they find themselves in an ISIS camp. So basically, what he's saying is that ISIS members in Turkey posed as being FSA mainstream opposition contacts, and that's how they. This is the early days, by the way. This is September, October, where ISIS is not so open about their operations in Turkey and taking people from Turkey into Syria. So they pose as mainstream opposition, and then they take these guys to the fight, and then at the border camp in Syria they find themselves at an ISIS camp. What is very interesting is that he says the guys were telling them that the regime of Bashar al-Assad is killing the Muslims and so on and so forth, and they had already heard this from FSA media. So the guys, the ISIS contacts that they met in Turkey, basically posed as the mainstream opposition members, and they thought, okay, we will go to join the opposition in the fight against the regime of Bashar al-Assad, and then suddenly they found themselves at an ISIS camp.
Raji, he must have witnessed some pretty awful stuff. Did he actually carry out any atrocities himself while he was a member?
No, well, he says he didn't carry out any atrocities. He didn't even engage in any firefights. He worked as a technician because he had qualifications, and he mainly worked in the communication bureau of of the ISIS organization in Raqqa. He operated the telephone lines. He fixed communication equipment and so on and so forth. However, when he was deployed to the Kurdish city of Serikani, or also known as Ras Al Ain, where ISIS regrouped to attack the Kurdish YPG forces, he was asked to interpret the Kurdish radios. So basically, they wanted to try to also use them as a way to understand the movements of the Kurdish militias and use them to attack the Kurdish forces. But he says that, as when he heard on the radio that there were Kurdish female fighters speaking on the radios, he just couldn't intercept. So he just said, look, I speak a different dialect and I can't really interpret these radio communications of the Kurdish fighters. So he claims to have worked only as a technician. He did not join any firefights, and he was held. This guy was held as a prisoner by the Kurdish forces in Syria, for several months. So, he says that their investigations basically concluded that he did not engage in any firefights, and that was the reason that he was handed back to his family in Iraqi Kurdistan.
Raj, here in Sydney, we've got the terrible situation. We've got a lot of young men going over there and joining the Islamic State and picking up arms. We had one 17 years old, another fella 16 years old that was about to cross into Syria, and luckily for him, his father went over and took him back. How bad is it in France at the moment? You've got a high Islamic population. How many young French people are going and joining the Islamic State in their fight?
Well, there are various figures in France as well that there are, and also we can see it on ISIS propaganda videos and magazines, and also on their recordings that they have French jihadists in their ranks. They have many they have many people who've left Europe, who've left the Western countries, and joined the Islamic State version of jihad, if you like. And so in France, it's also a phenomenon. It's becoming a phenomenon. But the moderate Muslims, they're trying to fight back against this, and trying to tell the community, that this is not, what's happening is not right. ISIS is not representing Islam, and the government is trying to crack down also on, people that they suspect of being ISIS sympathizers or wanting to, or even being part of ISIS propaganda squads. And the crackdown, the police crackdowns taking place. The Muslim community is trying to give an anti-ISIS message to the Muslim community. However, it's still happening. We still see jihadis living in France. We still see jihadis living in England. We see jihadis living in the Scandinavian countries and going to Syria and Iraq to become part of this extremist Islamic organization. And most of these people, unfortunately, they are young people. They are who are easily deceived into and brainwashed, in fact, by ISIS members into their extremist utopia, if you like.
Terrible situation, Raj. I appreciate your time, mate. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
The Grill Team, Gus, MG and Matty Johns. Triple M Breakfast.